So, kind of continuing with some automation tutorials, I've definitely noticed throughout the years some people have struggled with the Infusion Altar, um, especially when it comes to things like late game, large amounts of Icorium, or basically anything in which the Infusion Altar is needed to run a lot of recipes. Um, Usually people say it's tedious, you gotta sit there, click the altar, but no. The You have a few options to make infusion crafting a lot easier and behave very, very friendly with applied energistics. Um, this is a setup that I'm going to quickly show you, but it's more about the general concepts behind what each of these things do that make it work. You don't actually have to use SFM. In fact, you could probably get better results with other things. This is just super easy to set up, so I thought I'd show it off. It's actually useless. So, the first thing that you're going to need, set up your altar, give it some stabilization, a lot of stabilization, and get an Infusion Cloth. This is Gatomancy. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think you do have to scan something kind of weird for it. But, very useful item. You give it a redstone signal and it'll activate your altar. Now, there's technically a decrease to this. The way it works is as your wand loses capacity, it actually increases the warp effects. So you'll see here this one actually keeps getting ticked and loses capacity. However, just because of what this wand is, if you pull it out and put it back in, it fixes all of that. I'm pretty sure in inventories it charges to full. So, when you want to set up any recipe, right here I'm using ichor just as a demonstration. Take all of your items, just put them right in there, put your output, make sure to put at least for this, put your pedestal item first. In this, the nether star goes in the middle, whatever goes in the middle, just put that in the first slot. From there, I just have a very simple SFM set of commands. First one checks if the pedestals are empty. This one's basically like, oh, is there already something happening? Now on false, it'll go ahead, it'll input from the chest, it'll then first output to the middle pedestal, which is why we put the middle item first. Then outputs to all of the others up to 8. You can use more. This is really fine with 8. It'll then trigger this emitter up here. I probably should do this better, thus, in a sense, like every time it moves, it triggers the redstone, as opposed to all the time, but it doesn't really matter. This over here is just saying if all the other pedestals are empty and this one's full, then that means the recipe's done, and it uses that to pull, basically says, is this full? On true, it says, are the rest of them empty? Then it will pull from it, and it pushes it into the interface. So that just takes the item back, puts it in the system. For this, I do have infinite essentia, as well as infinite items, but of course you would get these in your normal ways. Last thing, world accelerators. I don't think the one on the Infusion Cloth does much. I'm not sure. I just put it here because why not? And this one is very vital. The infusions will run pretty slow unless you world accelerate them, which has been a bit of a point of contention, but it definitely works. Gives it a nice power cost as well. But anyway, if I go here, let's say I want 100 ichor. Why not? You'll see this thing will start to get items. The infusion provider will start shooting out its infusion juices. And there we go. Items get moved. Always puts the star in the middle. Always puts the other items around it. Even with the bit of instability, we're still running what I believe is a dangerous infusion. It's working just fine. You'll see once the ichor spawns there, SFM just pulls it out. And just like that, this works. Only downsides, I would say, because SFM, it is a 1 second delay. So you'll see there is some time after the ichor gets pulled out in which there's no items. There are ways to get around that, but as this is just a demonstration, I'll leave that up to you to find out. But yeah, very easy way to make tons and tons of Thaum items. You need 500 infusion stones for your blood magic altar. Just set this up, click the craft. You'll see that with a pretty hefty recipe, this thing does use quite a bit of aspects, so it would normally be pretty slow. But you see, we've already crafted almost 80 ichor. So that's pretty much the basics of one way to go about automating fast late game infusion recipes. But anyway, I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I hope some of you struggle less with the Infusion Altar. Hashtag put 16 Icorium in Draconic cores.